Resident Evil 1, a revolutionary title. Back in the 90s, the world was introduced to many things, such as text messaging, greater internet, and most importantly, Goof Troop for the SNES. Well, I'm only partially joking about that last one, because the Goof Troop game was made by a man named Shinji Mikami. In his early years he made Goof Troop, but later in 1993, Shinji Mikami would come up with one of the greatest video game ideas of all time. Resident Evil blew up the survival horror scene. Coming out 25 years ago, this masterpiece of a game made a franchise that would take over the gaming community. Later, Shinji made many equally, if not better, sequels, like Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, and even Resident Evil Code Veronica. But as time went on, the games were getting outdated. The hardware for the games was developing, and Shinji Mikami knew he had to take advantage of the new hardware. So in 2002, he released something even more revolutionary than his release for Resident Evil 1. The GameCube was released, and it was capable of so much more than the past systems. Shinji Mikami decided for the new console, he'd make one of his best games ever.
Resident Evil.
He remade Resident Evil 1, and I'd argue that it overkills the original. The graphics were so much better than the original polygons. Only bad thing is they got rid of the cheesy line.
Richard, what happened?
Oh, Jill, this house is dangerous. There are terrible demons. Ouch!
You're wounded. What kind of demon attacked you?
Is that Jill?
Is that voice Enrico's?
Yeah?
As a Resident Evil Remake virgin, playing for the first time throughout March and April, I loved the game, and I was really glad I got to experience the game with you guys. The game is so much better than its 1996 version. It added so many new areas and gameplay elements, and added new creatures like the Crimson Heads, the giant Neptune Shark, and the Tyrant. He was in the original, but his AI got a huge buff. He was actually very scary, because you also had to protect Barry from him. In my mind, this game gets a 9 out of 10, and it really sucks that I have to give it a 9 out of 10, but the 10 out of 10 spot is reserved for one game that we'll be seeing later. But a 9 out of 10 is the best it can receive. Thank you all so much for joining me on this ride, and we're going to be starting a new ride, because up next comes the Resident Evil 2 Remake.